I have a feeling it might be one of those days. Welcome to SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out as you always do. It is the Thursday Thoughts version of everything. And hour number two is hour number two. It is the Power Hour with our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV and Niko Moreno from Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports. Obviously, with Nino, we got to talk about what we discussed a little bit yesterday with the Copa Sudamericana, possibly with the Independiente match being out of country, neutral site, all those kinds of things. And we also have CONMEBOL qualifying we've got to get into, plus all of the activity going on around the planet. Niko will join us in the last half hour of the show, and we'll break down the truncated schedule in Major League Soccer. We'll look at Leagues Cup, look at it through the prism of Seattle, and find out what the vibe is there. There was also the report that came out of the Pacific Northwest where Alan Gordon basically said, the former MLS star Alan Gordon said that Lionel Messi had basically shunned Pedro de la Vega from being a part of the Argentine squad. So we'll get into that, if there's any legs to it, any truth to it, anything like that. So that's hour number two. Hour number one, we'll catch up on things. That's the official term. We got stuff to talk about. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of reports. We got into the Luis Suarez possible repercussions yesterday, where Major League Soccer could go and return. And so there's a little bit more clarity on that from the MLSPA perspective, like what could be done according to rules of engagement with the MLSPA. A great article in AL.com having to do with Nashville SC and their relationship with Huntsville City Football Club and how it does help out the collective. We got to let you know where things are when it comes to what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Right now, AFCON qualifying is going on right now. It is early. It is Chad and Ghana, and there was an early set piece. And the match is goalless right now in the 7th minute. So 7th minute goalless, Chad and Ghana, and that's the beginning of a very, very long day in qualifying. You can catch it on the Plus, but we'll go over what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it toward the end of the program, or the end of this hour as we go into hour number two. We do have to talk ticketing because that information came out yesterday as well. The timeline for ticketing and trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to dive in when it comes to the cup that is going to be decided next year from a lot of the teams around the world? Go into those numbers, go into those timelines as well. And apparently, for the most part, you might be buying blind since the grid isn't determined until December. If you're buying tickets in September, you're kind of just sitting there and you're hoping that your club is going to be tied to a venue that you buy tickets in. There are team-specific packages that you can buy for FIFA, but like I said, we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. We are efforting college soccer this morning because last night in Morgantown, West Virginia, Bart, there was a big upset in Division I activity. And West Virginia loses at home for the first time in almost 3 years. Gardner-Webb gets the Duke 1-0. We are efforting Scott Wells, the head coach of Gardner-Webb, and they got home, and I will confirm this. I will confirm the timeline, but when he texted me late last night, it was going to be a long night coming home from Morgantown, West Virginia. And we'll find out just how long it was for Gardner-Webb to leave Morgantown and go back to Boiling Springs, North Carolina. And we'll discuss the big upset. Number 13 knocks off number 6, first home loss in Morgantown in 3 years. We'll go over the season for Gardner-Webb a little bit. And probably anybody who thought that Gardner-Webb was a surprise ain't surprised anymore. And so we are efforting Scott Wells after a little bit, and he gets his life settled down a little bit because literally for Scott, it was get home in the middle of the night, and then he had to get the kids ready for school. And so when they are in school and they are safe, and Scott has kind of calmed his morning down, then that's when we are going to be trying to effort him and try to figure out what it was, what his night was like last night for Gardner-Webb, for the program, first top 10 win, first win against the top 10 team in club history, those kinds of things. So that's what we're running into this morning. And so that is the rundown as we see it. So, and also I apologize, I'm fighting a cold. So might be a little stuffy today and tomorrow, but like I said, we're fighting it. All right, so that is the rundown. So it's upsets and news and college soccer and everything else that's on the table in hour number 1, hour number 2. Touring the planet will get you ready for everything, and we'll get you ready for the weekend in Major League Soccer. Morning, Knicks. Morning, David. And morning, Alex. Jason, no, they have not. And this is kind of what we were getting into involving Morning Lokeville, by the way, who is on the YouTubes. And it is something that we're kind of looking at and trying to figure out, okay, what could be done. From what we understand and what we have kind of interpreted here, and I guess this is opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We'll go ahead and go down this road since it's a topic on the table. There's your QR code. Kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code soccer down here 15 when you check out, because you can buy out the store at 15% off. And that's what we recommend. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. There is precedent outside of a tournament for Major League Soccer to sit there and go, we're going to tack on some stuff here. It was the Mike Petke incident that happened when he was, I believe, with Red Bulls, and then the Clint Dempsey incident where he tore up the referee's book and they added matches to that. So if Clint Dempsey was to appear in Open Cup, he would have to serve an Open Cup suspension. And the same would be for Mike Petke, I believe. And I think if Mike Petke coached in, I think there's still some matches that are attached to it. But anyway, so yeah, there is a precedent that MLS has tacked on in situations. So CBS Sports recapped and kind of did the short version of Suarez's history. Racially abusing Patrice Evra 2011, biting Bratislav Ivanovic in 2013, biting Chiellini at the 2014 World Cup. So Clint Dempsey ripped up the ref's notebook, suspended in the tournament for 6. MLS added 3. Mike Petke given a 3-game Leagues Cup suspension for acts toward the refs. MLS added 3. In league last year, you'll remember Ache at Houston, Hector Herrera spat in the direction of a referee during the playoffs, red carded, sent off. And that action, in part, according to CBS in Houston, was part of the reason that they didn't pick up the team option, according to Pat Onstad, the GN. Because of the timing of the incident, he didn't receive an additional suspension. And so now the question is going to be for Suarez. Now, what does the CBA allow? Incident took place in Leagues Cup. Looking at the CBA, CBS Sports does this. The incident would still fall under discipline for on-field misconduct, as that covers, quote, misconduct that occurs in any stadium or playing facility and which occurs at, during, or in connection with any game or tournament in which the player competes. So since it was at Lumen, MLS Disco can add on. Committee must be composed of 5 members, 4 appointed by the commissioner. 2 members must be former MLS players, and the committee can hand down their suspension. If it's greater than 2 games, then the MLS PA is allowed to appeal in writing to the commissioner, at which point a time and place for the appeal will be set. But then, after that, then it's kind of out there. If Suarez does not appear in any of Miami's remaining 10 matches of the MLS regular season, it would not come as a surprise. This is the Chuck Booth article at CBS Sports. Herons don't play again until September 13. Time to work it out. League may need all that time that they can to work through all the ramifications of a potential suspension. So that's where we are. Falls under MLS Disco since it was at Lumen Field. And now the question is, all right, do we tack it on? And like I said, we mentioned the Petke incident. We mentioned the Dempsey incident. So there is precedent to add matches on. But now it is up to the Leagues Cup disciplinary committee to come up with any kind of a solution. And then, and the Leagues Cup, obviously, that would be, you would wonder if, and there has been just stuff floating in the ether that this may in fact be Luis Suarez's last year competitively in Major League Soccer. He and the rest of the big four contracts end all this year. Alba, Messi, Busquets, they're done this season. They're done this year. So, and Suarez. So all four of them done at the end of this season. There has been talk that this is it for Luis Suarez. And like I said, it has been back burner stuff. It's just been conjecture. There is nothing concrete to it at all. But if he is suspended in Leagues Cup, then it's like the Clint Dempsey thing, where if he ends up, being suspended by Leagues Cup, it's more kind of like an, oh, by the way, and if you ever come back, don't you ever come back here, and if you do, then you have to settle up your bill. So that would be the Leagues Cup element in this. Would it be another 3? Because 3 seems to be the magic number according to Major League Soccer. It's one more than what would be approved without any kind of appeal from the MLSPA. That would be 2. Is 3 enough? That would be conventional wisdom. That would be probably number 1, 2, and 3 talking point. Is an additional 3 inside Major League Soccer, is that enough? But what you also do, if it's 3 or however many, leading into the playoffs, you're giving Suarez a rest, frankly. With the stuff that we were talking about with Luis Suarez and his knees, and we were wondering how they would hold up, what you're doing basically is, in a backhanded way, you're helping Messi and friends by sitting Suarez so he can be healthy for the playoffs. So that's the question. MLSPA can do more. They can pile on top. If it's more than 2, it goes to appeal. So that's kind of where we are. And I know that there's a lot of folks, and David's asking, what have people gotten for post-game headlocks before? 1 more than a red, so 2. Yeah, and like I said, and David, to your point, it is something that you go right up to the edge with the MLSPA. You sit there and it's like 2, okay, we don't have to appeal it. You don't have to go into the process. Because if MLS decides to drop the hammer on top of the Leagues Cup disco, and you figure the Leagues Cup disciplinary committee, they're going to put up a big number. If MLS decides that they want to put up a big number, it's going to immediately going to appeal. And then if I remember engagement and the rules of them, then you're free to play, man. I mean, that would be the way that I would look at this is if MLS wants to drop the hammer, it's immediately appealed. Under appeal, then that to me means that Luis Suarez is active for Messi and friends. So I would anticipate that if it's more than 3, then it's going to go to appeal, and it's going to go to the written part, and then they're going to have their essays, and then they're going to compare notes, and then they'll figure out what the decision is going to be. If it's more than 2, if it goes to more than 2, then it's going to go to long glass rectangular table, glass encased conference room, and you're going to trade notes across the table with folders. That's the rub here. So that's what you're looking at. You figure Leagues Cup disciplinary committee, they're going to put up a number. But then if MLS wants to come in from behind, then that's what you've got to look at. You got to keep an eye on that and figure out, okay, what's it going to look like? Do we, if we were Major League Soccer, do we sit there and try to max it out and go, okay, we're going to go 5 regular season, whatever, but then it immediately goes to appeal. And then you trade your folders and you sit there and say, well, what if I put up a number here? What if I write down a number on a piece of paper and slide it across the table? That's what you get into at that point. So is it worth putting up a large number and going through the appeals process where Luis Suarez would be playing for Messi and friends? Like I said, if I'm interpreting appeals processes correctly, while it's under appeal, nothing's decided. So unless Messi and friends was going to sit there and say, no, we're going to sit him and then, time served or whatever attached to it all, then that's what you're staring at. So that is, like I said, that's the rub in all of this. If MLS comes in from behind, how hard do they hit? It goes to appeal. And then the discussion continues. And then how hard is it? Is it whittled down? And then what does it look like? So that's where we are. MLS can, and then we'll go. So let's, and obviously there are folks in the timeline. Rich is like, he's not going to get anything. He gets absolutely nothing. He gets nothing. Let's be real. David is tacking on numbers. So you got a handful of matches left in the regular season. Nix was adding numbers. Nix is like, throw the book at him. No more this season. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the rub in all of this. Does MLS come in from behind, and how heavy do they hit? Considering what we've seen with Petke and with Clint Dempsey in the past. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code once again. You hit that QR code, you go in to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, and you start your day with Kickoff Coffee. You buy out the store. That's what we recommend anyway. Then when you go in and buy out the store, you can do it at 15% off by using the code SoccerDownHere15 at checkout. And then they, in turn, our folks at Kickoff Coffee, in turn, take 10% reinvested in youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, the other promos while I'm thinking about it. Don't forget to go to Olive & York if you haven't picked up the jersey yet. It helps out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. You've got the photos of Greg Garza and Maddie and Sophia modeling the thing, doing blue steel. And so it is the navy jersey, floppy collar. You can personalize it with double blue lettering or letters and numerals, or with white. Check with Alex and Abby and figure out which one you might want to do if you haven't picked them up. Of course, if you're Abby, you got both. And so you can help us out with our Soccer for Good campaign there. You can also help us out with our Soccer for Good campaign over at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can get the gold embossed Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gear, red or black t-shirt, sweatshirt. And then the net proceeds from that going to help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta public school system. That's another part of our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. Now, also what you can do is, what you can do also is go and be a fanatico. And how am I a fanatico? I ask you, John, how does this work? Well, I will tell you. What you do, you go, and it's a part of our activity with the Chant app. And this is where I have to turn the phone to where it's not shiny and everything. So, and shining off of everything. Okay, here. No, there. I guess let me tilt it down and you can kind of see keyboards and things. Okay, so the Chant app, and it's part of our Soccer for Good campaign here, $10 a year. What do you do for $10 a year? That's like a trip to Starbucks or what have you. You can be part of our Fanaticos group at the Chant app, and we have a lot of partners that are attached to it where you can get a lot of cool discounts across the board by being a Fanatico. A lot of breweries in the upper half of the state. There are a couple of other places like the Moxie Hotel in Midtown, 20% off hotel food and beverage. Let's see if we got the list. Brass Tap, Marietta, South Main, Watkinsville, Schoolhouse, Marietta, Atlanta Hard Cider, Marietta, Elixir, Buford and Monroe, Round Trip in Marietta, Social Fox in Norcross, Keys to Flavor Catering in Sugar Hill, 15% off your first catered event. Fido Midtown, 10% off of all off your food tab. O'Sullivan's, $5 select beers, 10% off food bills, and 10% off your Decatur FC merch or your O'Sullivan's merch. Lloyd's in Johns Creek, 20% off select Atlanta United gear. Finished Goods Brew Works in Winder, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Outrun in Stone Mountain, Tires Plus in Alpharetta. $25 off alignment services, $25 off oil changes, $50 off 4 tires. Dad's Garage in Atlanta, discount Chateau Arenal. This one's my personal favorite because it is so random. 10% off any booking. San Ramon, El Castillo, San Ramon, Costa Rica. You get a code, 10% off any booking at Chateau Arenal if you are, in fact, a Fanatico. So if you want to go down and catch the Continental, you can catch the CONCACAF Champions Cup, the Hemispheric Extravaganza, or if you just want to go watch the Costa Rican Primera and you can catch up with our friends at Arediano. You can watch Alawalense, or you can watch Saprissa at the Monsters Cage, and you can stay at Chateau Arnal. You get a discount code if you're a Fanatico. Battle and Brew, both locations in Wild Leap off of Ted Turner Drive. So very, very cool stuff there. You can be a Fanatico, and I'm going to try and type it because part of this keyboard is obstructed. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. I think hang on. Soccer down here /join. I think I got it. Maybe, let's see, perhaps, possibly. Group.chant.fan soccer down here /join. There you go. Be there. Rich is being a producer. Hang on just a second. All right, so Rich with our notes from Sky. Darren Eales, formally stepping down as Newcastle CEO on the 5th of September following the appointment of David Hopkinson. And obviously, we send our love to Darren and his family with everything that Darren is currently battling. But right now, 5th of September, so that's like tomorrow. Tomorrow, Darren Eales formally stepping down as Newcastle CEO following the appointment of David Hopkinson. David Hopkinson was interviewed, and what he wants to do is he wants to make a point that Newcastle be a player on the world stage. And so that was part of the interview. Hang on just a second. Let me see if I can find it. I think it was in The Athletic. But thank you, Rich. Obviously, Darren stepping down as CEO. And, he demands urgency. Can Newcastle's new CEO, David Hopkinson, take the club global? It's an article by Chris Waugh over at The Athletic. Quotes from Brian Cooper and Brian Cooper at MKTG. What Newcastle need are massive numbers commercially. Dave has no compunction about asking for those, and he'll have data to justify it. He usually gets them too. New chief exec, more than 11 months after Darren Eales announced he'd be leaving the club, having been diagnosed with chronic blood cancer. Now the successor is in place. Cooper worked alongside Hopkinson, sat opposite him at the negotiating table, brokering the naming rights deal for Maple Leaf, where the Air Canada Center. I call it the post office because that's what it was before it was converted. But 2017, they brokered the 20-year naming rights deal for the home arena for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Cooper representing Scotiabank. Hopkinson was chief commercial officer for MLSE, worth 800 million Canadian at present. The tenfold increase on the previous Air Canada partnership deal represented the highest value annual stadium and team sponsorship in North American sports history. So for those of you that have The Athletic, here is your interview with the new CEO. And I think, Abby, it might be short of things that the club might want him to do just to be as a part of the community. So Abby's asking, is that dropping all responsibilities at Newcastle? Might be dropping all of his front office responsibilities because obviously you're focusing on your health. I don't know. Nothing has been laid out as to what Darren's future is, except that Hopkinson is going to be taking over for the taking over in the position. And so the Athletic is the Athletic had a caption in the article is that they've been without a chief executive since Eales stepped away. And so that's what you're looking at. So Hopkinson comes in, takes over for Darren Eales. And that is the run that Newcastle now has, is with Hopkinson as their new man in the front office. How do you make yourself global? And that's what Hopkinson is going to be doing. Infrastructure-wise, according to the article by Waugh, Hopkinson does not have the experience of overseeing huge projects in the way that Eales did at Atlanta United. He was at MSG when it was building the Sphere, but did not lead on that. And at Newcastle, he's arrived ahead of a generational stadium decision. Whichever call is eventually made will be contentious. Hopkinson's joining midway through the discussions, and that's obviously far from ideal. Ensuring the process-driven approach of the PIF can be sped up. You've got Hopkinson has to address that. Due diligence must remain. There have been suggestions that a meticulous approach excuses indecision. Longtime associate says that Hopkinson demands urgency, but he does so in a way that makes you want to run through walls for him. So had multiple job offers after he left MSG, waited for an opening that excited him, proved to be Newcastle. His eldest daughter is going to be joining him in the UK, though her younger sister will stay to finish high school in Toronto. Hopkinson's fiancée will move over soon alongside their 3-year-old Chiweenie. So he has a Chiweenie, a fiancée, and 2 daughters from a previous marriage. Ambition will be, we need to be number one, but we're going to get there the right way. For a challenger club like Newcastle, he's the perfect choice. So that is the early 411 on David Hopkinson, the new CEO for Newcastle. As Sky announces this morning, Darren Eales is formally stepping down tomorrow following the appointment of Hopkinson. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, Abby's wondering if you can send client, client good and good get well soon cards and things like that. I would imagine that, yeah, you could absolutely send those kinds of things to St. James's Park or to the front office, and they would get to Darren. I would wholeheartedly think that would be something that's a part of the whole. If Darren still gets mail, I'm sure that Darren would still get mail there. So absolutely, send a big banner over there to either to St. James's or to the corporate offices. I'm sure that it would find a way to Darren. Absolutely. So that's the update on Darren and his time at Newcastle, formally stepping away as CEO. Obviously, he had stepped back to take care of his health issues. Now he's formally stepping away, with David Hopkinson being introduced as the new CEO in Newcastle. Okay. Let me go ahead and do this. Let me go ahead and do what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, because there's a lot. And like I said, we are already in the throes of AFCON qualifying. And this is the thing that bugs me, among other things. All right, so Ghana's up 1-0. Set piece available, and they're letting it go. Chad had a set piece from about 35, and it went well over everybody. When you're watching certain streaming services and you back away and you minimize the window, it freezes that moment in time, and then you have to fast forward all the way to the point that the rest of the world is at. It doesn't continue rolling for you. I'd like for it just to continue to roll, but it doesn't. So Ghana leading Chad in round 7 in Group I by the score of 1-0 once again there in the 32nd minute. Jordan Ayew with a goal, 17. So we'll get into college soccer in a bit. There's a lot. CBS Sports Network's got World Cup qualifying, and it's CONCACAF. It is 5:30 and 10 o'clock. Suriname and Panama, Guatemala and El Salvador is at 10. FS2 goes to Europe, and they've got a triple header starting in 25 minutes. Kazakhstan, Wales, Georgia, Turkey, Bulgaria, and Spain is at 2:45. Fox Deportes, Suriname, and Panama is at 7:30. Universo has World Cup qualifying doubleheader. Argentina, Venezuela, so you get a chance to see Thiago Almada and Ronald Hernandez. It's 7:30 on Universo, and Brazil and Chile is at 9:30. ESPN, the Plus has early rounds of AFCON. The Chad-Ghana match going on right now. 3 going on at noon. Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Madagascar, CAF, and Angola and Libya. That's at noon. Also at noon, you have Sao Tome and Principe and Equatorial Guinea, Mauritius, and Cabo Verde for the Sickos. 3 o'clock, it continues in AFCON. Cameroon and Eswatini, Algeria, Botswana, Mali, Comoros, and Tunisia and Liberia. Those are your 4 matches at 3 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus. Slovakia, Germany at 2:45. Fubo Sports Network has European qualifying. Lithuania, Malta at noon, and Liechtenstein and Belgium at 2:45. 2 matches in MLS Next Pro tonight. One of them is of massive importance to Atlanta United, too. It is Crown Legacy and Carolina Core. Their next 2 opponents playing each other tonight, 7 o'clock. And Tacoma Defiance, Whitecaps, 2. That's at 10. Paramount Plus simulcasting Suriname, Panama, Guatemala, El Salvador. Pay-per-view info is available at Integrated Sportsnet on the World Cup qualifying in CONMEBOL. It is Colombia, Bolivia, Paraguay, Ecuador, Uruguay, and Peru. Like I said, we'll go over all of the stuff with Nino coming up at the top of the hour. Peacock is simulcasting Argentina, Venezuela, and Brazil and Chile. So that is the the national stuff. That's your international windows. College soccer, there's a lot. 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7:30, 10 o'clock. On the men's side, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 matches. 6 of them out west, involving Big West, Pac-12, WAC. I think that's pretty much it for that. And then you have Florida schools, America East, SoCon. That's on the men's side. 14 matches starting at 4 o'clock, a lot at 7 and then at 10. Women's soccer, the metric crap load. And I'm not kidding. There's got to be like 100 matchups here. And so if you know your favorite team, follow along and find them because they're probably playing today. You've got Georgia Southern and North Florida on the women's side at 5. You have Pac-12. You've got B1G. You've got ACC, Colonial. You have the WAC. You have the Ivy League. East Tennessee State and West Georgia is at 6 on the plus. You have ACC taking on Colonial. You have B1G. Wyoming and Georgia is at 6:30. Kennesaw State and Mercer is at 7 on the women's side on ESPN+. That's definitely one for our footprint to watch tonight. You've got ACC, SEC. Remember, Casey White's going to be calling Alabama, North Carolina on ACC Extra tonight at 7. You've got Princeton, Miami, Navy, VCU. I'm trying to see if there's any other colleges. Stetson and FSU is tonight. You've got stuff in the Midwest. You've got Ivy League. You've got Big East. You have Chattanooga, Tennessee Tech. It is OVC tonight. It is Conference USA tonight. And that's at 8 o'clock. Texas and Baylor is at 8. ACC Extra's got their handful. Oklahoma, Texas State is at 8:30. Cal State, Northridge, Portland State is at 9. Dartmouth is out west taking on USF. 10 o'clock, you have 7 matchups that include the WAC, the Big West, and what's left of the B1G, and Fresno State and Bakersfield. So you have like 9 gazillion women's matchups tonight, and they are all they're all over the place. So, yes, if you want to watch women's soccer tonight, all over the plus. And yes, Rich is mentioning the beginning of the beginning of the Shields season, and Rich, and I know that Rich, a lot of folks here in Atlanta are very happy that you were saying "Go Birds." Beat 2, 3, 4. So there it is, and raise the banner tonight. So that's what's going on with the beginning of the Shield season and the professional FOOTBALL season tonight. That's a Thursday night football, and that's going to be kicking off tonight. And so get your fantasy teams all squared away. If you don't have your draft, find your waiver wires, get your roster stacked, and get ready to go. So that's your public service announcement for that tonight. So that's a lot of the stuff that's going on. Didn't know if you saw this, and it's an article that popped up in AL.com, and it's about the relationship that Huntsville City Football Club has with their parent club, Nashville SC, and Thomas Ashworth at AL.com. Mike Jacobs was interviewed, president of soccer ops for Nashville, and he was asked about the relationship that Nashville has with Huntsville. Quoting Jacobs, "The idea of generating revenue with ticket sales and partnerships, it's unique, probably compared to almost any other MLS2 team. In Kansas City, we started a second team, Swope Park Rangers. They're now sporting Kansas City 2. They were lucky if they had 400 fans coming to games. Huntsville plays regularly in front of 4,000 plus. That benefits all MLS2 teams." And then obviously you've got the exhibition match coming up, and that was last night at 7 o'clock. And you had, for those of you that follow Hunt City on social media, they had trialists playing last night, and one of the trialists scored for Hunt City, and so obviously they had to sit there and say goal trialist. They couldn't mention the individual by name, but it was rather humorous that Hunt City had a trialist score for them, and that was how it was identified last night in the friendly. So 2024 average attendance was over 4,300. Jacobs said visiting teams, when they come in, get a more meaningful game that more closely resembles an MLS match, albeit with a different set of circumstances. It helps the whole league what we're doing with Huntsville City FC, but now to take this next step of them being more competitive on the field. When you do play in a separate market, it's probably more of a premium on trying to win because you're trying to sell to a fan base, maybe more so to a secondary team in the same market. Chris O'Neill, the head coach, said it's fantastic to play alongside the crowd that the club consistently brings out. Quoting O'Neill, it's something that we've actually even started to try and encourage and get the players to do a little bit more of, which is that player-fan interaction. Because once they kind of get behind them and they say there's a foul or whatnot, and there's a little bit of celebration in this, and now the crowd gets behind you, it finds ways to give you just a little bit more than what you thought you might have had. I think that's such an important part. Even scoring goals as well. Celebrating with them, that's just not celebrating by yourselves and going there. You can find ways to gain that 1%. When we're talking about this in terms of these players being able to move into that next level in terms of MLS, 1% is a big difference. Expectations were different. Huntsville's adapted. One of the few MLS Next Pro teams in a completely different market than its parent club. Obviously, it's a 2-hour drive separating the two. Jacobs said while the team had to make more of a direct effort in allocating resources and transportation to get a good look at developing players in Huntsville, communication, collaboration between both in year three has helped make it easier on everybody. There are very few games, once again quoting Jacobs, that Huntsville City plays that if either I'm not at myself personally, I'm watching live on TV. The rare exception is maybe when both the first and second team are playing at the same time. It's really encouraging to see the connectivity that we have among all three properties, first team, Huntsville, and Academy, and then the other way also. For those who are at the games, not uncommon to see myself or members of our executive team, but to see guys like BJ there watching the games as coaching staff, there's definitely more connectivity right now than they've ever had between the two properties. And you'll remember, anecdotally, when we were up there calling the matchups with Atlanta United 2, and the next booth over was BJ Callahan. Literally, BJ Callahan keeping an eye on everything going on with Huntsville City Football Club, taking that 2-hour drive from Nashville down to keep an eye on what's going on with the MLS Next Pro team. Third in the Eastern Conference, sixth overall, looking for the close of the season. Every team we play, they're also excited to play. You get a true look at where your team's actually at, getting the best effort from the opposition. You can look at it as we have home field advantage, but we have to find a way to do a little bit more and use that. Protecting it is something that our players take great pride in. So, Huntsville City Football Club, they are doing really well. And it is really cool to see how it has continued to evolve. And you're seeing what Huntsville City is doing there in that building. So it's very, very cool to see how it is evolving to get it to that point, to where you are getting 4,000 people in a building. And you have 4,000 people in a barn. You're sitting there and it's like, okay, cool, that's great. And you're chasing after championships. You know, right now, once again, you're third in the Eastern Conference. Last time out, when you came to the fraction, you took it on the chin in a big game that you wanted to try and climb the standings in. But once again, right now, you are third, identical record to Chicago Fire 2. You were 2 ahead in goal difference, plus 19 to plus 17. 6-2-3 at home with Wicks Family Field and Joe Davis Stadium. And so that's what you're staring at. Huntsville City has taken an idea as an attached club in MLS Next Pro, and from there, what they have done is they've added to it. They've created their own environment. They've renovated the stadium, which looks fantastic, and they're adding hotel space and all these things so that live, work, play environment that we talk about a lot in the lower divisions to make properties more viable over a full 365 days in the calendar. And they're hitting a lot of the right notes right now. They're bringing in players. They're bringing in, Alan Carlton is a part of that now as an older player that is not a part of the Nashville SC system. And you're seeing this group in Hunt City do really well. Christian Kofi, 10 goals. Alan Carlton, 10 goals. 11 assists between the two of them. Then you get into all of the players that are there as a part of the system. Adam Sipic is a part of it. You know, then you end up with guys like Blake Bowen, Pep Casas, and the build that continues from there. You end up with Eric Lauta in net. Chris Applewhite is a part of it as a prospect. Then you have Magnus Ek, who's there, Kessie Koulibaly, who is there as well. And so, Tyshawn Rose. So you're seeing all of these players doing well with Hunt City and MLS Next Pro, and they're doing a really good job of developing this idea over the last couple of seasons. Like I said, it's always fun for us to go up and call matches for Atlanta United 2. You have the instant rivalry that's attached to that. So all of these, you have the Hunt City, you've got Chattanooga, you have Atlanta United 2 that's a part of it. You have what's going on with the Purple Team at OCB. You've got Messi and Friends too. So all of these rivalries are here in the Southeast, but the choice was made to have Huntsville be the market to kind of break away a little bit and give a market that has a great appreciation for the sport of soccer the opportunity to blossom on its own, and you're seeing that right now. So that was the article in that was the article in the in AL.com. So AL.com had the article this morning about the growth of Huntsville City Football Club and what it's been like for them to try and to work their way forward. So, all right, hang on just a second. All right, still efforting Scott Wells from Gardner Webb. Because like I said, I mean, Scott legitimately, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Scott, just kind of collapsed on a sofa. So he said, and this is me talking to him last night after the win, trying to book him on the show this morning. He says ETA home is about 6 and then take the kids to school. So you go on the road to Morgantown, West Virginia. You get a win last night. And you come home, obviously, from Morgantown to that section of North Carolina. And that is not a ride where you can just kind of sit there and go, it's an easy drive. But you get a win, and you're leaving probably 11:30, midnight. Then you're going from Morgantown and you're heading back to Boiling Springs. He says ETA home's about 6. So it would not surprise me that once Scott got the kids off to school, that he fell down on a sofa and collapsed. That would be my guess as to what happens. And obviously, if Scott doesn't join us in the next 12 minutes, we'll book him and we'll try to see if we can grab him tomorrow when he might be more awake. But no, it was a big win for Gardner Webb last night. Number 13 in the country knocks off number 6. First loss in about 3 years in Morgantown for West Virginia. Was a 1 goal, and that's all you need. 1 goal and a stingy defense. Thiago Campos scored in the 14th minute, and they hung on from there. Roster has a lot of different classifications that are attached to it. You've got a lot of different folks that are contributing right now for this team. They've won their first 4. And they are 4-0 on the season. West Virginia with the loss, 2-1-1. Campos had the 1 goal. Samson Caparda had the assist. Robbie Lyons gets an assist there as well. And we mentioned how everything is, coming at you from a bunch of different classifications. Caparda's a sophomore. Lyons is a grad student. And then you had another stingy night with Alan Horrocks between the sticks, the senior keeper. And so that's how you end up with the big upset with Gardner Webb knocking off West Virginia. So that was how that happened last night. So like I said, we are efforting Scott Wells, the head coach at Gardner Webb. But if he's asleep, we get it. Coming up in about 10 minutes, it's our buddy Nino Torres, where we tour the planet, find out what's going on in his mind when it comes to transfers, the Copas, all the things there. And our buddy Niko Moreno is going to be joining us in about the last half hour of the show. And we'll break down everything that is attached to Major League Soccer, to Leagues Cup Seattle, and all the points in between. We do have a handful of matches, remember, this week in Major League Soccer, because you can opt not to take the international break. and you have DC United has a friendly, and then there are 4 matches that actually count this week in Major League Soccer. So we've got that this week. Folks might be catching up on makeup games and things like that. We mentioned the World Cup qualifiers. The ticket info is out. And so here's what you need to know. Pre-sale phases, starting in a week, 10th through the 19th, you can enter a Visa pre-sale draw. But here's the deal. You got to have a Visa card to participate. FIFA then randomly selects an undisclosed number of entrants. You get a date and a time slot in October to purchase. Then you get a similarly early ticket draw will follow after that if you don't have a Visa card. Then December 5th is the draw. If you miss the lotteries, you get the first come, first served or the last minute sales phase, which probably is going to be for most of us. Then, of course, the secondary market. Hospitality packages already on sale. They're like they're thousands of bucks a piece. FIFA typically allocates tickets to participating nations and their feds. The feds will then sell, FIFA said Wednesday, additional products, including supporter tickets and conditional supporter tickets, expected to be available closer to the tournament. And then everybody here knows about volunteering. So 11 a.m. when the show is over, September 10, you can enter any time between now and the 19th. Then you get a FIFA ID. And you get a Visa card to put you in that first phase. FIFA officials say you can buy up to 4 apiece for up to 10 matches. So you can buy 40 tickets tops. Man, this was the part that we kind of anticipated with what we saw with the Club World Cup. Welcome to dynamic pricing. Cheapest tickets to group games starting at $60. Obviously, most tickets more expensive. Dynamic pricing or variable pricing. Variable pricing sounds a lot softer. It's variable pricing. Not dynamic pricing, but variable pricing. We will adapt prices as per the demand we see, as per the remaining inventory. So, yeah, Argentina, you figure that's going to jump through the roof. Highest price for the World Cup final starting at $6,730. More than 4 times the price of a Cat 1 ticket to the 2022 final, which costs $1,605. Qatar World Cup, most expensive to date, Cat 1s were about $220. Cat 2s, $165. Cheapest available to international fans, roughly $69. That was Qatar. And so that's, when we talk about categories, we talk about 100, 200, 300. Cat 1's the 100s. Or might be the 200s if it's even with the sidelines. Cat 2, Cat 3 are the corners, adjusted categorizations. And so you're looking at like corners behind a goal, supporter section, and they're going to go with American preferences. Fans value the front row seat much higher. Well, actually, they don't. Maybe in the second deck, maybe, but not like for real. Sideline versus end-line delineation is going to be lower level, second deck, and upper deck. So lower level's a 100, second deck's a 200s, upper deck is 300, 400. And they're going to be releasing, obviously, they're going to be releasing the schematics as we go. Resale market. StubHub, SeatGeek, TickPick, Vivid, and others. TBDs. They don't require sellers to upload the digital tickets. Nothing prevents a fan or a speculator from selling tickets that they don't have. That's the fun part there. Visas for international fans. You'll get more info, obviously, September 10. But, yeah, if you go in and you're buying for a particular venue, then you are hoping, basically, that you are booking a ticket that you're going to be wanting to see. A lot of stadiums, a lot of fixtures. Draws December 5th. You're buying tickets in September. You are hoping that when you buy a ticket for a venue, that you are buying the ticket for the right blank in place. So that's the that's the larger point with all of this. You've got to make sure that you are projecting well enough that you think a particular club will be in a particular venue at a particular time. Unless you're looking at the sicko approach and you're just like, you know what? I'm buying tickets for here and I don't care. Buying tickets for this venue and what it is what it is. Frankly, for me, I would probably be focused on the minnows and the Atlanta dates. That's what I think that my particular angle of the coverage is going to be when it comes to Atlanta and to Dallas. But I'm looking at minnows. I'm looking at first timers. I'm looking at cool stories. So probably if it was me, I would end up getting a lot of tickets to the $60 just because I want to see the first timers. Everybody else wants to see the big names. Give me the first timers. What does it mean to them? What does it mean to them in this story? So that's that would be the hook for me in all of this. So how to buy the World Cup tickets? First thing in line, set up your FIFA ID and get a Visa card. Remember yesterday we were talking about the Alexander Sefrin interview that he did with Politico. UEFA's not keen on the Club World Cup. Sefrin voiced his opposition to the idea that the tournament might be staged every 2 rather than every 4. He's not a fan. Players are already dead at the end of each season because of the packed calendar. They organize the Club World Cup every 4 years for our organization. For me personally, it's perfectly fine, but that's it. Asked for his view on staging it every 2. He said, quote, I wouldn't agree with that, but I don't think they want to, end quote. When pushed on the idea that FIFA's increased interest in the club game as a potential threat to UEFA's lucrative competition, Sefrin said, club football is not only UEFA territory, pointing out FIFA's been staging a smaller Club World Cup since 2005, the Intercontinental. Then he explained why he believes there's no room for the expanded Club World Cup every other year for now. Most problematic thing about it, players are dead after the season, then have to go and play in this 5-week tournament, which is too much. FIFA would have to speak also with the clubs who supported the idea. So that's the thing. This is tiring because they have the men's competition, Club World Cup. Next year they have World Cup. 1 year nothing, then Euro and Copa America and everything. So it's tiring. Now with AFCON being in January, it's a never-ending story. So that's tough, but let's see what happens in the future. So he kind of stepped into the pool and then he took his foot out. I'm not a fan, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Champions League squad updates yesterday. Max Dowman made Arsenal's list. Rio made Liverpool's list. Chiesa did not. Matis Tel, who was a 30 million pound pickup for Spurs. Thomas Frank's like, nope. So Dowman in, Rio in, Chiesa out, Tel out. Bundesliga is not a fan of staging league matches abroad. Excuse me. Hans-Joachim Watzke, who chairs the advisory board, he's like, nope, not happening. We're not doing it. La Liga, Serie A, they want to. Watzke ruled it out. Re-elected to his position Wednesday, made his comments with La Liga, hopeful of staging their fixture between Villarreal and Barca at Hard Rock. Serie A planning on staging Milan and Como in Perth. Watzke said, as long as I'm here in the league responsible, there will be no match abroad when it comes to competitive matches, full stop. Sefrin, once again in the interview with Politico, said playing games abroad, not a matter that they could prevent. FIFA was warned it'll set a dangerous precedent if it sanctions domestic league matches being played abroad by fan group Football Supporters Europe. So Sefrin understands it. He gets it. It's up to the leagues themselves to figure out what they want to do. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like, nope, not happening. And the head of the DFL, the head of the German league, is like, we are not doing anything abroad. It's not happening. No, 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 no. So at least we know one league that's not going to be doing stuff in this country going forward. If you're in the DFL, it ain't happening. Okay. It is the beginning of hour number 2. And we know what that means on a Thursday. We head down south past New Orleans, and we go and check in with our buddy Nino Torres and find out what's going on in his brain. I know we got some things that I said. There's one thing that we need to talk about that I know. He sends me a list. I don't look at this list. We roll through it as we always do. It is a wide open experience as we go fully loaded here on a Thursday, starting hour number 2. And we welcome in Nino Torres. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Yellow. Soccer down here, fans. Here, Nino Torres. We're in a t-shirt only today. It seems like the winter's going away. Finally. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe it's just today. I'm just messing with you guys. But I'm happy to be here, Johnny.
Uh-huh. Y'all fired up. I know you. You're all fired up, as you should be.
Sure. It's a miracle day, brother.
No doubt. We talked about it yesterday, and it's kind of like a lead-in for you here today. There is talk, and this was from our friends at Ataque Futbolero, and on their account yesterday, we were, and like I said, there is no evidence that is leading to a decision one way or the other. This is just stuff that they put out there in the ether, and it has to do with the match that was just awful a couple of weeks ago with everything that was happening in the stands with Independiente, and they now say that there is an idea about completing the match, and it would be in a neutral location, and it would be like nowhere close to where these individuals played the match in the first place. So they're thinking possibly that the match would be removed with Independiente and Universidad de Chile, completed on a neutral ground in another country behind closed doors. And that comes from ESPN Argentina that Ataque Futbolero put back out there. Have you heard anything about this match in Sudamericana and getting it picked up, finished, laying low? What's the deal? Have you heard anything about this?
Yes, the hearings were yesterday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. They went from the 3 p.m. to 6:45, give it a take. And Independiente and Universidad de Chile, they both present their cases, their evidences, and there are 4 possible scenarios here, right? Number one is the one that you just mentioned, that they could be playing the remaining 43 minutes at closed doors in a neutral location. That's number one. Number two, it's the Independiente gets banned and Universidad de Chile advances. Number three is Universidad de Chile advances to the next round and Independiente gets eliminated. And number four is that they both can get eliminated. Both teams could get eliminated, and Alianza Lima will go through to the next round of the Copa Sudamericana. There's a tendency in CONMEBOL to leave the things on the pitch. What I mean by that is like they know that there's 43 minutes remaining on the clock on this match, and they want the things to be decided on the pitch. Okay, so that's why the number one scenario is the most likely scenario, because in CONMEBOL, you got the muscle, brother. All right, you got the muscle. Argentina is a heavyweight and Chile is a welterweight. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're not gonna give the decision to the welterweight contender here. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. How things go in CONMEBOL, and of course, Chiquitapia got a closer relationship with Dominguez than the representative from Chile. So I'm giving you the all the all the factors that could influence the decision in CONMEBOL. But they're saying this is the what they're saying, that the decision could be made tonight during the games, because we have all the games going on the same time. You got 5 games. The only team that is playing later, it's Chile versus Brazil. In Brazil, it's 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Everyone else plays at the same time, an hour earlier. So they're gonna drop the bomb in the middle of this chaos of games that's happening at the same time. So the impact could be the impact is gonna be lower because everybody's gonna be busy. Hey, there's a game here. I give them bro, you got 5 games simultaneously playing, and they're gonna drop the bomb around, I want to say 7 p.m. ish.
Okay. So we'll keep an eye 7 o'clock, and we'll find out if if they do the news dump. They just sit there and they just lay it out there. It's like, hey, look at all these games here. Oh, by the way, slip. Right now, Argentina minus 400 taking on Venezuela. Venezuela plus 1,200. Colombia minus 909 hosting Bolivia at a plus 2,007. Paraguay is a plus 138 hosting Ecuador at a plus 270. Uruguay a minus 238 hosting Peru at a plus 788. Brazil a minus 500 hosting Chile at a plus 1379. And right now, here's the grid. Argentina 10 points clear, 2 matches to go. And it is Ecuador at 25, even with a points deduction from the Federation. Right. Brazil is at 25. They are 3 goals behind in goal difference, +8 to +5.
They're going to fix that tonight. They're going to put 5 goals in Chile.
Uruguay is at 24 points and a +7. Paraguay is at 24 points and +3. So Paraguay's got some work to do. Same number of points as Uruguay. So just keep your head down. Colombia is a 22 points. They're in 6th. So they're in the last automatic qualifier. Then you've got Venezuela and Bolivia chasing after the play-in spot at 18 points and 17 points. Peru is at 12 points at 2, 6, and 8.
We're chasing too, brother. What is this? Why you mention Peru chasing too? What is this disrespect to my team?
You got to score some goals, brother. You got 6 goals scored in 16 matches. That's insane to me.
Yeah, it's the lowest. It's the lowest of the lowest World Cup qualifiers for us in terms of offensive production. And what's the sad part? The qualifiers are gonna end in the next Tuesday, right? And here in Peru, the media is already talking about the possibility of Paulo Guerrero playing the next World Cup qualifiers. He's gonna be 57, brother. What is this, man?
Don't make me laugh when I got liquid going, man. You don't want me doing a spit take on a camera and a computer. Chile is last, obviously, at 10, and they're out the door. Chile isn't going anywhere, but you need 2 wins and you need help. That's what you need.
Yeah. I trust that the Argentina in the last Leo Messi's appearance in Argentina, wearing the Argentina jersey. I think he probably is gonna come up in this almighty state of mind, and may turn wine into water into wine, and score I don't know how many goals, and create a new Messi church tonight after this one. Hopefully so, man. But I don't think they're gonna put that many goals. I think that Argentina is gonna win, but it's gonna be like probably 2-0. Bro, I want to say it's not going to be a massive victory for Argentina. It's going to be compelling and it's going to be solid. But Venezuela is going to fight with their lives and their souls and their everything, because they need to put at least 1 goal. If they put at least 1 in despite the final result, I think that's going to help them a lot. So they're going to go. I think that's their mission right now. Right, we're gonna go there and we want to try to score 1 goal at the Monumental, regardless of the final score is 2-3, 2-3-4. I don't think it's gonna be 4. It's gonna be either 3-1 or 2-0. That's my my Nino Dama's prediction for that game. Of course, is not the best for our interests, but I'm keeping it real.
Peruvian players from Sao Paulo to Sydney is the destination. Is it the destination or the journey? What's going on here?
I'm so happy for these two guys, Eric Noriega, which is probably the best Peruvian player coming out of the Liga Uno this year. And he has an interesting story. A year ago, he was a volleyball coach in a district league, right? He was trying to get an opportunity in the in soccer. He finally got it with Alianza Lima by the end of the year, and he made it to the first team. And he was purchased by Gremio. By Gremio Porto Alegre. I said Sao Paulo. I'm sorry, it's Porto Alegre. I was thinking in Sao Paulo, but anyway, it's Porto Alegre. And he made a massive debut playing against Flamengo, right? And all the Brazilian media was like, this Peruvian player is for real. Okay, we're gonna keep an eye on him. But here in Peru, my God, man, he was like, he won the World Cup and he was the Golden Boot. He was, he was ready. But we're gonna send him tomorrow to Real Madrid. Jesus Lord, bro, can we please tone it down, man? Please tone it down. This is so toxic for players because whether you want it or not, you're gonna read the comments. You're gonna read. You check social media. You check the papers, and it gets to your head, man. It gets to your head, and it's not helping. All right. And now the other, but I believe he's gonna excel. He's you know what's the best part of this kid? That he's well-grounded, man. He's so grounded, his family supporting him, his wife. I mean, you can tell that the kid is solid up here, He's solid. He's prepared. He was studying Portuguese, and when he went to after the post game conference, fluent Portuguese, brother. With the Portuguese media, la la la, Portugal, obrigado. No, that's me, right? But he was fluent in Portuguese. So I'm like, okay, fluent. And that tells you right there that the guy is been preparing for this, right? Waiting for the right time, for the right call. Now the other guy, the other player, my Piero Gisper from Universidad de Deportes, he went to Pumas, right? This is why I don't like when players go into the Liga MX, because for me it's an island, all right? It's an island, a delusional island that they believe that they're better than the Premier League, but they don't compete the teams from Belize, all right? And it's so hard for players when they go there to make a jump or to make a leap to a bigger and better league, because number one, they paid a lot of money in Mexico. I mean, they paid a lot of money in Mexico. And it's crazy. They bring in players from Europe, so it's very competitive in terms of wages. But when it comes to sell players out of Mexico, MLS sells 10,000 more players than the Liga MX to Europe, not just to freaking Malaysia. Okay. And I say Malaysia, I'm going a little bit south of Malaysia here because my boy Piero went to Sydney FC in Australia. Okay, he went on a loan, and they were trashing the kid here in Peru. How you went to Australia? Are you a kangaroo? What is this? Are you gonna play rugby in Australia? You're gonna go surfing? What is it? This is not a soccer country. Oh my God! And then I took my time to do my research, right? And I found out the Sydney FC has sold 17 players to Bayern Munich, to the Premier League in Scotland, to Spain. And I was like, okay, so the scouts are looking into this market. So this might not be as bad as it looks from the outside, right? Because if they're buying players from this country, from this team, there's a chance for him to go to a bigger market and a bigger league, hopefully someday.
Alianza Lima has to pay the highest electric bill on the planet. What in the blue hell is this about?
You remember, did I tell you the story, right? When Universidad de Deportes, won the championship in Alianza Lima Stadium. It was in December of 23. December of 2023. We won the championship in there. And as soon as the game was over, with the team ready to do the championship lap around the stadium, they turned the lights off. They turned the lights off.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were like, all right. And it was, I'm bringing this up because there's another event that happened in Argentina a couple of nights ago. In La Plata, they turned the lights off too. And right in the middle of
I was watching this, and it looked like the banks of lights, they just went out, and then they were playing in the dark, and then you had the one bank work, but it was strobe, and literally you're having to play under one bank on one side that was just strobe lights, and that would make me like motion sick the whole time when you're doing that. And then they shut it down, and then they bring them back up. And I think it was strobing again. Then they shut him down. And then they finally, they were trying to figure out if they were going to call the match or not. I mean, it was just crazy, this.
It was insane, man. It was insane. Jenny, what's the name of the consumer, the consumer's protector in the U.S.? What's the name? Is there
the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
That one, right? So we got that one here in Peru, which is called in the copy, according to it's a different name, but same thing. So they were studying this, right? This issue from back in December, and they decided to fine Alianza Lima with let me put it in let me make my calculation here to give you in dollars how much it is, man. Hold on a second, man. It's 1, 4, 20, yeah, $685,000 is what they have to pay in Alianza Lima for turning the lights off.
Wow.
$685,000, brother, because they said they was against the consumer. We don't care about your issues, your mental issues that you're gonna do against the team that beats you every time that we play the finals. But when you have 30,000 people at the stadium and you put at risk all that people because of you, no, you're gonna be fined for this. $685,000 is what Alianza Lima has to pay for turn the lights off.
Yeah. Lesson learned. Don't do it. Porto. Now we go to actually tell you what. One more in South America. Peru and Chile are in the semifinals. You mentioned Peru and Chile being in the WC semis.
Semifinals, brother. We are in the semifinals. World Cup semifinals of breakfast. Of breakfast, brother. You know this guy, Ibai, the Spaniard guy, the chubby guy is a streamer, right? He's the guy who's making a partner with PK in that league, whatever they call it. So he's making the World Cup of breakfast, and Peru is in the semifinals with a pan con chicharrón versus Chile. I'm sorry, Chilean, I love you guys, but you don't know how to cook. You're so lame. You're so lame when it comes to cooking, brother, that you have not a single chance against our breakfast. No chance in the world. Okay, because it's just avocado. Look, Johnny, it's just avocado, eggs, and what is it? And cheese sandwich. Hey, what's the deal, brother? No, we got the chicharrón. It's well cooked, pork belly with cilantro and oh my God, all the juices. It's just phenomenal, right? So you have no business against us, right? No business against us.
You mentioned avocado, and I'm like, nope, that ain't happening. I'm going the other way. That's just not happening. And full disclosure, when the boss and I went to go see the CONCACAF group stage. And we went to San Jose, Costa Rica to see Atlanta United take on Herediano. And Herediano played on that cement surface that had the welcome mat from like the 1970s AstroTurf on top of the surface. Before they're renovating it now. But literally, Herediano played in this neighborhood in one of the hillsides in the suburbs, and it was like the old Cincinnati Reds stadium turf that you roll that out, and then you got cement underneath. Literally, that's where you were playing. And so we're staying at a hotel, and she's like, "Here, try this," and it was ceviche. And look, and I know that people are going to hate me from now on because of this. She's like, "Here, try the ceviche," and I'm like, and I tried it, and I'm like, "No, this isn't happening for me. I've never been an avocado person." And ceviche, she loves.
That's a capital sin, brother. That's not a ceviche. The real ceviche, the only one, the truly ceviche, is from Peru. It's Peruvian. I know they make ceviche. Everyone else, in the coast and in Costa Rica and Ecuador, it's gotta be Peruvian.
Yeah, well, and our dear A-lister Alex. And this is true. Yeah, well washed her hands of John's terrible food takes. I mean, no, look, I'm about as even vanilla C+ as it gets. It's just like that ain't happening. She digs the spicy food. I don't. She digs you could say she's willing to sit there and go in any direction and go, "Ooh, I want to try that." And I'll be like, "You go right ahead. I'll watch." Yeah, let me know and send me a picture. That is absolutely true. So yeah, my food takes here on the network are legendary and legendarily bad. So that's why Alex was letting you know about that. A couple of things out of Portugal before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest winger Jota Silva should have been a Sporting player. Loan deal was agreed, but the Portuguese club missed the deadline for submitting paperwork back on Monday. They missed the deadline. They'd agreed to a deal, €4.5 million loan, €15.5 million option for Sporting to sign on a permanent basis. They'd figured it all out. Here's the deal. We got it. It's all good. Paperwork missed the deadline by I want to say it was time stamped at 12:01. They were like a minute off. They said a matter of minutes in the article from The Athletic. Deal falls through. Forest remains open to an exit for Jota, but there was a significant discrepancy in when Portugal's transfer window was due to close. And so apparently chaos happens, and Jota Silva was supposed to go from Nottingham Forest to Sporting, and he did not.
I thought that we were well known for doing that in South America, right? Because how many of those histories we have here missing the deadline for the Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana? A lot, brother, a lot. I mean, we got tons of those. Oh, we missed the paperwork. Oh, we missed the deadline. Oh, I thought it was a South American thing, but apparently it's also happening in Portugal, brother. What is going on with the Lions, brother? Jesus, Barandas.
Mm-hmm.
Barandas, what were you thinking, man? That we were partying too much, or
well,
what,
I mean, it's just you look at that and you're like, come on. If you're serious about it, get serious about it, and don't sit there and wait to the bitter end to hit send. I mean, give yourself a couple of minutes leeway. Don't wait until 12:03. Figure out your day, get it squared away, send it at 11:30, and you got some space.
They happened here with Boca Juniors, and they realized that they were Paraguay is done in the same time zone as us. Yeah, brother, they're not. You don't know that? What? You don't know that? You've been living in the East Coast for all your life, and they just suddenly they moved the time zone. No, they didn't, brother. No, when it's 8 p.m. in the East Coast, it's 6 p.m. on the other side, brother. All right, you.
Yeah. On the field in Liga Portugal, you mentioned Porto. They are back, knocking off Sporting 2-1 at the end of August. And Porto won last time out. Rio Ave draw with Braga. Santa Clara and Estrela draw. Benfica beats Alverca 2-1. Estoril Tondela draw. Porto beats Sporting at a plus 293, 2-1. Famalicão wins. Vitória Guimarães Arouca draw. Nacional beats Casapia. But the big one, Porto gets the win over Sporting. How did this happen? And it is now Porto 2 points up after 4 matches.
It is so good for the league. It is so good for the competition. It is so good for the Portistas that their team is back, man. Their team is back. They've been on the shambles for, I don't know, the last couple of years, losing their identity. It used to be Porto the most relentless team in the competition. Going to Dragao was a drama for everybody. But they lost respect to Porto, man. They lost respect to Porto in the last 2 seasons. I'm not going to say that everyone was winning in at Dragao, but there were several teams that Porto never lost against them. And then 20 years, in 25 years, that they were dropping points against teams that they were not expecting to do so. But now, number one, Farioli, with all due respect, with all the love to Martino Anselmi, brother, you did not click your terms, your ideas, your tactics. Hopefully, you get it done in Brazil now that you're in the Brasileirão. But Farioli, he went out there, sat down with with Vilas Boas, and they say, "All right, what do we need? What do we need? What's our biggest issue? Center back position. Okay, let me get this guy Bednarek. Boom, outstanding. What else do we need? We need a serious striker, a seasoned striker, because we got Samu. All right, let me get Luke de Jong. And nobody saw that coming either. That was a mystery, a well-known cover-up for bringing the young. Not even Fabrizio Romano knew about this one. All right, so they present this guy, and then what was the other position they? The midfield. We need a number 8 that is going to be combative, that is creative, that is hungry for glory. All right, let me get this Lord of the Rings here, Mr. Frodo. He's not Frodo, right? That's how I call him. It's Froholt. This is his nickname. I nicknamed the Lord of the Rings. So, players on key positions that they needed. And they went into the market and they crushed the market. They got the best transfer window market in years in Portugal. And not because they're making big splashes. No. These guys are not $50 million. No. 10, 15, 20 here, 15 there. All right, let's line this up. Let's set up the structure. And boy, it's paying off. It's paying off big time. Big time. You know, they're now aggressive. They're relentless. They're efficient. And plus, they have these 2 young kids. Actually, 3. I'm going to say 3 young kids that they're going to carry this team with all their talents. Number 1 is Rodrigo Mora, who, thank God, he did not leave for Saudi Arabia, brother. He stayed with the Dragons, and that is massive, man. That is massive, okay? And then the other one is Will Gomez, who played a massive game on the Clásico to beat Sporting. And Froholt, you know, this Danish guy, he's so talented. He's so dynamic. He goes up and down. He's the perfect combination, the perfect teammate for Alan Varela, the Argentine, that now he can focus more to be the anchor, to be and not covering the spots on the right, spots on the left, and going like an octopus. No, I'm going to be in the main channel. I'm going to hold it here, and you got the power of the ring. So go ahead and do your magic. So, and then there's these 3 young players, so fast, so dynamic, so creative, and so powerful that they can bring out the speed. And that's what Porto is doing this year. You know, they love the speed, they love the stamina, they love the intensity is back. The Dragons are back, and they're back for good. It's going to be, I still have Sporting as the number 1 candidate to win the league, but it's going to be a tough fight. A really
All right,
tough
what are you
fight.
calling this weekend?
Let me see. This weekend is Uruguay, because it's Uruguay only, brother. Uruguay is the only league that doesn't stop. That's the only league that doesn't stop. They don't care about international breaks. No. It's got a Peñarol Plaza Colonia. What is this, on Saturday, 5:30 p.m. And then I got City Liverpool, brother. I got City Liverpool. Montevideo City Liverpool. Montevideo City versus Liverpool from Montevideo. making that. And what does I have? Cerro Largo. I don't know Boston River this weekend. No Boston River this weekend. For my boys from Kentucky. Yeah, that's what we have. It's all Uruguayan leagues this weekend.
Defensor and Juventud is tomorrow. Wanderers, Danubio, and this I give Uruguay credit because they don't overlap their start times. So you go bang, 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 bang. You literally can watch the whole. You can watch the whole calendar during a weekend. Wanderers, Danubio, Peñarol, Plaza Colonia, Boston River Plate. Ooh, that is in 2 days at 7:30. Then on the 7th, CA Cerro Largo, Progreso Miramar, Nacional Racing Montevideo, and Montevideo City, and Liverpool. That is what it is on Uruguay. There was before you get out of here, there was a birthday that you got to celebrate the other
day. Yes. Who was the guy? Where's the guy?
Well, I mean, considering that birthday celebration that you got for Toffee.
Buddy, you okay? You like your birthday?
He's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Toffee's like, dude, put that back. I'm.
Oh, hold on. Let me show you the hat.
Toffee turned 3, by the way, and so that's what we're doing. Oh, so look, that's but for putting the hat on Toffee, I'm waiting for the moment where Toffee is going to basically do something to you while you're sleeping for revenge for putting that hat on him for a birthday.
No, he's my boy.
Take you out one weekend when you're sleeping late for putting that hat on him, and it's going to be when you least expect it.
Oh my God, man! He's so fine, man. He's so cool. He was so cool when we were singing the song and everything.
He's like, can we get this ish over with, please? Put me down. So as always, we love you, my friend, and congratulations on Toffee. Another lap around the sun, and say hi to your mom. Be safe, and we will catch up with you next week. It's always great to see you, my friend. Be safe, have great calls, and we'll catch up with you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you, Johnny. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Nino Torres, our buddy from GOLTV. Yeah, we couldn't resist. Nino posted on the gram or the IG or the Insta, whatever the kids say. He posted photos of Toffee and his mom. He and his mom were celebrating Toffee's 3rd birthday. And as you saw, Toffee's just kind of over the whole thing. He's just like, look, Dad, you're talking. It's too early in the morning, and I'm sleeping. And so literally we disturbed Toffee from his sleep. That's what happened. So Toffee celebrated his 3rd. There are pictures up on Nino's Instagram, and that was very, very cool. News out of Manchester City. That scream you heard was Drew Dickinson. Diogo Dalot withdrew from international duty with Portugal, set to feature in the doubleheader with Armenia and Hungary, now not featuring due to muscle discomfort. What is that? What is muscle discomfort? My muscles aren't comfortable. They're not comfortable with me. My muscles aren't comfortable. Muscle discomfort. Did the physio actually talk to the muscle and go, do you feel comfortable right now? The muscle went, no. It is. I feel discomfort. Okay, muscle, then we'll take care of you. I'm guessing that's what the conversation was with Diogo Dalot, the physio, and the muscle. We don't know what muscle it is. Let me go down further into the article. Nuno Tavares called up to replace Diogo Dalot, complained of muscle discomfort, and was released by the Health and Performance Unit. So Dalot, due to return to Manchester, further tests. Withdraw from the national team could not come at a worse time. Ruben Amorim already sweating on the fitness of another couple of players. Concerns over Cunha and Mount as they hobbled through injury against Burnley. Cunha was clutching his hamstring. Mount appeared to have suffered a muscle injury. Maybe someone should ask Mason Mount's muscles if they are suffering from discomfort. So, yes. So Diogo Dalot sent home. Did not even get into the first match. News from John Arnold just released. Court of Arbitration for Sport dismissed the appeal from Mexican second division teams. However, part of the reasoning for the dismissal is the CAS panel concluded that the FMF had always determined to suspend the system until the conclusion of the 25-26 season. So CAS, appeal by 6 second division Mexican clubs, dismissed the appeal against the federation concerning immediate reinstatement of promotion relegation in the Mexican First Division. Appeal filed on May 19th. sought to reinstate promotion and relegation in Liga MX after the decision by the federation in April confirmed that they remain suspended for 25-26. FMF first suspended promotion and relegation for 6 seasons from 1920, and then that would lead it to 25-26. Anyway, at the end of the moratorium on promotion and relegation during COVID-19 pandemic. Initially, 10 clubs involved in the appeal. Atlante, Cimarrones de Sonora, Alebrijes de Oaxaca, and Jaiba Brava withdrew following appellant's proceeding. Atlético La Paz, Atlético Morelia, Cancún, Mineros de Zacatecas, Venados, and Leones Negros. In-person hearing took place August 28th in Mexico City. After examining the evidence, CAS panel concluded FMF had always determined to suspend the system until the conclusion of 25-26, made clear to the clubs when the decision was taken. Specifically, the panel found that sporting seasons impacted by the agreement at the General Assembly in 2020 corresponded to those in the FMF decision at April 29th of 25, the last one being the 25-26 season. Document unofficial summary for media use unless parties request confidentiality. CAS award with grounds will be published on the website in due course. So you had the second division teams in Mexico. A lot of the heavy hitters like Leones Negros, they wanted to have it reinstated, and they wanted to have it reinstated sooner than the 6-year window that was initially placed by the Mexican Federation. So CAS in their ruling was like, they've already said 6 years, so they're in line with what they said, so you can't appeal it, and so wait until probably what may happen is you look at the end of the 6-year window, then the federation will decide, okay, do we reinstate promotion relegation? And if they don't, then this probably gets to revisit CAS all over again when it comes to the courts and such. So we'll keep an eye on all of that because you have heavy hitters down in the lower division that want to be a part of the discussion. Leones Negros is the one that will constantly stick in my head. And John responded to that. He goes, seems to me that if ProRail doesn't return for 26-27, CAS would take a very different view. Yes, and that's what I'm anticipating here is that once the 25-26 season's over, that 6-year window closes, then if they decide we're just going to continue it, then the second division clubs, the 6, they sit there and they do this cycle all over again. I think they would win it the second time around. In this particular rundown of everything. So that is, like I said, that literally is that's my gut feeling when it comes to all of that stuff. So keep an eye on that as we keep an eye on things here in and around this particular part of the planet. Niko Moreno coming up in just a little bit. Obviously, he'll be here for the final half hour of the show and wasting no time. No time wasted. None whatsoever. We're going to see how the studio continues to evolve and grow. We're going to talk about Major League Soccer. I'm going to talk about Leagues Cup. Story that trickled out of the Pacific Northwest about national teams and people being possibly shunned. All the things. It's almost like a circle today since we started talking about Luis Suarez in the first hour. Probably going to talk about him here in the second hour. So we go from Lima, Peru to Seattle, Washington. Find out what's going on in the Pulse with our buddy Niko Moreno. Niko, what up?
What is going on, John? SDH family. I'm a little high up there. How's everybody doing?
No, you're styling. You're styling. You're good. It's all good. You're rocking.
Yeah, it's the start of the NFL season, so I broke out the Raiders cap just for good luck, just for today. So bear with me. I am looking for a nice little Seattle Sounder hat as well as my lights. I'm waiting for, but it is a nice, cool morning here in the PNW. I am in my second cup of Joe and just ready to talk about, I'm sure, a whole lot on Leagues Cup, and then we'll eventually get to some MLS action.
That is true. We got a handful of matches because you can opt out of taking the time off. And so 4 matchups this weekend. We'll run through those in a bit. But what I wanted to do with you, obviously, is lead off with Leagues Cup. And I'll just say it. I mean, we were breaking it down earlier in the week and the defensive game plan against Messi and friends. Literally, since this is the first day of the NFL season, the analogy that I gave was you had man coverage by Seattle, or it was blanket coverage when they would play zone. But the second that Messi goes into the pattern, you bump him. You get him off his route, you bump him a little bit, you get him out of their rhythm, and the rhythm gets disrupted. And so the quarterback, when he wants to deliver the pass in the flat to Messi, he hadn't gotten to his point yet because he's bumped off at the line of scrimmage. And they made a point, Seattle did defensively, to get him bumped off his game to kind of disrupt the thought patterns there for Messi and friends in that matchup.
Yeah, and to put it in simplest terms, it was about taking one player out of the game. The way Bill Belichick does it, the way the big defensive minds do it is, if you're gonna beat me, it's gonna be with your tight end or your other receiver, but we're gonna take out your best receiver, and that's kind of what happened here, right? I mean, I think this was probably the best I've seen a team limit Lionel Messi. I think that Orlando's probably the only other team that does a great job at taking him off. But they just closed all his avenues. And as you mentioned, it was constant pressure of whenever he would pick up the ball or whenever he would even be in spaces where he could pick up the ball. And it was a collective effort. You wanted to keep the line of confrontation extremely high. Brian told you that right off the bat at the beginning of the week. They did that. So it was Pedro de la Vega doing a lot of defending, a lot of pressuring, a lot of making sure that he was able to bother Messi when he would have the ball. He would help out. It was Obed Vargas, a rock in his shoe that entire game, right? He was a shadow. Making sure that every time he got the ball, he felt some sort of pressure. Christian Roldan as well. Both pivots knew exactly where Messi was going to pick up the ball. When he was deeper in front of the 18, it was Yeimar Gomez Andrade. It was Jackson Reagan. It was Reed at times. I mean, it was just a collective effort to ensure that every time that Messi would get the ball, he'd pick it up in non-dangerous positions. And even if he did pick it up, you wanted him to play negative. You want him to feel the pressure. He was obligated to even try a couple of mid-range shots that were either blocked or just completely off by Lionel Messi. I think that miss that he has in front of goal has to do with a lot of frustration, has to do with just a lack of rhythm. They did not allow Messi to get in a rhythm. And I just thought that it was an overall great defensive game. And it wasn't just about Messi as well. I thought that Seattle's press was extremely effective. If they weren't picking up ball, they were forcing turnovers off of some poor passing from Inter Miami. I thought that when it came down to emergency defense, when things would break down, because there were moments when Messi and friends were able to put a through ball. They were able to get you on the counter, and the emergency defense by the Sounders was great. It was a block shot by Yeimar. It was a fantastic, phenomenal tackle last minute into a shot of Rodrigo De Paul inside the 18 by Jackson Reagan. It was Obed Vargas poking the ball out of Messi inside the 18. I mean, it was just the overall effort by a defense that knew that they had to hustle, that they had to eliminate all of the connections that Messi and Alba and Busquets would have, and they didn't allow that Bluetooth technology, right? That almost by a sense of connectivity, right? That they usually have, they completely took it off. So credit to the tactics by Brian Smetzer and credit to the execution by every single body in that pitch.
On the day, shots on target, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore, dealing with Lionel Messi. Answer to that question is that. No shots on target officially registered by Lionel Messi. 2 off target, 3 blocked, 1 of 6 on the dribble, 60 touches, 30 of 37 passing at 81%. Had the one key pass, 1 for 3 on crosses, 5 of 8 on long balls, 3 for 10 on his ground duels, lost possession 19 times. 2 times he was fouled as a part of it, and then obviously no defensive numbers. But that's the breakdown No shots on target. 3 shots blocked, 1 for 6 on the dribble for Lionel Messi in that game. I can't remember the numbers like that.
No, that's credit. That's absolute credit to the Sounders. And I heard, was it the pitch? Was it the rough terrain? Like, look, at the end of the day, there was plenty of time for Inter Miami to get used to, accustomed to the field. There were opportunities. Agenda misses one in front of goal as well, and it all goes back to just the overall great collective effort. And I think that's why emotions go high at the end of the game. It's because there was so much frustration from everybody. And look, credit to mentally to this team. I still have not been able to confirm whether Messi told Pedro de la Vega that he would not be part of the national team as long as he was involved. But there was definitely a lot of chirping from Lionel Messi, trying to scold, trying to limit Pedro de la Vega's efforts, right? Then Rodrigo de Paul also goes down to Pepo and talks to him and makes sure. And there was chirping to the referee, and credit to the referee for being very consistent throughout the game. So their inability to control and affect the game because of their aura, because of their legendary status, that was big. They felt disrespected. I told you that they needed to disrespect this team, not verbally, but just saying, look, you might be the GOAT, but today you're just one of 22 players. You're on the other end, and I'm going to treat you like I would anybody else. And credit to De La Vega, credit to Obed Vargas, credit to Christian Roldan, because they were not worried about exchanging jerseys at the end of the game with number 10, right? There was one number 10 in that field that shined bright, and it was Pedro de la Vega. It was not Messi.
And for those that may not know what Nico was talking about, Sounder at Heart and your tag team partner, Jeremiah Oshan. Headline: Leo Messi reportedly blackballed in quotation marks. Pedro de la Vega from Argentina national team. Subheader: Former MLS player Alan Gordon said an inside source, and yes, I did just use air quotes, told him that Messi engaged in some questionable banter with his countrymen, Jeremiah's article. And it goes with the Pedro de la Vega, what you were discussing, one of the least effective games since coming to MLS, and that's why I went into the numbers. So, according to Alan Gordon, on the Major League Journeyman podcast, Messi told de la Vega, quote, "You'll never play for the national team as long as I'm involved." Gordon then added he basically blackballed him on the field. Gordon cites an inside source for the information, spent 15 seasons in MLS, played for 6 different teams. Galaxy and Earthquakes are a part of it. Jeremiah continues. He says whether that's just in-game banter or a serious threat is obviously impossible to say, but it certainly casts a different light around a player whose image is generally considered pretty impeccable. For De La Vega, if he continues to play the way he has over the last couple of months, future will take care of itself. So that's the article with Jeremiah at Sounder at Heart. So, I mean, like I said, we don't have any corroboration one way or the other, and I doubt we will ever get corroboration one way or the other when it comes to national team rosters and things like that. Interesting side port to that whole thing was that Pedro de la Vega, as you said, was a part of the team that frustrated Messi from one end of the day to the other there up there at Lumen Field.
Yeah, look, I've been a Pedro advocate all season. The man has arrived, and he had arrived, right? He had showed you exactly what he could give you. And in this particular game, he was a tempo setter. He was a guy that pinned back Ian Frey, that honestly had Ian Frey seeing little stars or little Tweety birds all game long because he didn't know where Pedro was going to come from. It didn't matter if it was a direct ball through the back line. It didn't matter if it was Pedro on the ball. It didn't matter if it was Pedro defending whenever Inter Miami would play out of the back. So Pedro was just so good. Every single cross that he put into the 18 had just venom, and it was gonna be a problem, right? And you see Osasa de Rosario early in that game just almost get to the ball, and couldn't quite get there. But it was that pressure on the left side that essentially at one point of the game in the first goal, Inter Miami's late to shift, and Jesus Ferreira, a guy that has been so important because of his versatility across this great run that Seattle's under. He finds Alex Roldan on the right side. Paul Rothrock makes a great run that kind of pulls Alba out of position. It's a perfect ball from Alex into Osasa. Osasa makes a great run, great header, and that's where everything starts off, right? So it's just credit to this team for just understanding what needed to be done in that game. But it starts with a guy like Pepo. It starts with a guy that's just being so good in so many ways, in so many aspects. And sure, after that, it's all about containing Lionel Messi, containing the ball, not allowing Sergio Busquets to find those spaces to put through balls. I thought I did a great job at, once again, pinning back those fullbacks or those wingbacks. We talked about it here in this exact same show. There was going to be space for Seattle to attack in the flanks, and there was a lot of space for Seattle to have. There were opportunities that were missed. And then Brian Smetzer, with some very intelligent and bold moves again on the substitutions, takes off Pedro, takes off Paul Rothrock, brings in different players. Giorgio Menungu comes into the game with all of the energy in the world. He creates that, generates that PK that essentially Alex Roldan puts away with all of the composure in the world. And then just to put the perfect bow on top of a phenomenal game, Paul Rothrock, the Seattle kid, the kid that had always been told that wasn't talented enough to be on that roster, that I myself had been telling people that he'd been so good for this system, and I didn't get where the disrespect was coming from. That kid that at least 100 people in attendance decided to trade in their Lionel Messi jersey for a Paul Rothrock jersey. Yeah. When he put that goal away, that 3-0 goal, that comes a lot of effort, right? The ball's not really going to him. He just picks it up because he makes that hustle play. And then he has the ability to get into the 18, cross the ball on the other side, and make the 3-0. The stadium erupted. That record League Cup record crowd just exploded in Lumen Field, and it was because it was that hometown kid. It was that guy that embodies everything that talks about this particular group: the collectiveness, the heart, the effort. That goal was just the perfect cherry on top.
So you're talking about this moment, huh?
Right to Rothrock.
Oh, man, it gives you goosebumps. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And Paulie Primetime is right, baby. Paulie Primetime is spot on.
Yeah, that was courtesy of our friends at Apple TV and MLS. You get a moment like that, and then Schmetzer gives him the curtain call, and then match is over. And I know we have to talk about this, and there is some new information involving Leagues Cup and protests that we'll get in after this, but all hell breaks loose after the final whistle.
Yeah, look, I was calling the game for 1360 AM there in Spanish, which was a great game to call. And obviously I'm standing in the booth with, the windows wide open so you can, hear the crowd. And the game is over, and, we're talking about history and culture beating a generic made up, like corporate build roster to win games, and how, young talent and hard can overthrow legacies. And all of a sudden I see some scuffle. So I take my phone out, and phone got a great zoom. So, I put it out there, and I see Sergio Busquets get close to Obed Vargas, hit him with a
little short right.
With a little jab to the chin. I don't care how soft that was. People on my comments said that's a punch. Mm-hmm. That's not a punch. He wasn't strong enough. Like, he's a close fist to my face. That's a punch. Mm-hmm. And Bobby Vargas goes down. Does he oversell it? Sure, why not? It's better than engaging in any sort of fights, and then everything breaks loose. I continue to stand on the notion that the Sounder players were doing everything in their power to contain or rip off Inter Miami players from their teammates rather than engaging back with punches,
Right.
which Cello did, which Busquets did. And we'll talk about Suarez here in a second. But when that mayhem was happening, it was the Inter Miami players that were swinging for the fences. I said it yesterday on the sidelines, a podcast that's in sports show that's here in locally in the Pacific Northwest. And I said, look, this could have turned into the Malice in the Palace if the Sounder players would have started throwing kicks and punches, because people would start coming off the stands.
Yeah.
And it could have been so much worse. But it was that composure that I think held it all together. And it wasn't more gasoline added into that brawl.
Yeah, I think, though, by the end of the day, I think that whenever Leagues Cup Disco comes forward, you're probably going to see envelopes for John Bell, Jackson Reagan, Suarez, Busquets, Chelo Wegant, Tomas Aviles, and Maxi Falcone, who had somebody in a rear chin lock. So that's my guess. You're probably going to see 8 envelopes, most of them heading to Miami. And we did get into early this morning what Major League Soccer could do through the eyes of the MLSPA. And if it's more than 2, if MLS jumps in, like I said, we don't know what Leagues Cup Disco is going to do. If Leagues Cup Disco says, 5, 6, whatever, then MLSPA, Major League Soccer, can come in from behind and tack on. They've done things like this before, like with Open Cup and things. So if it's more than 2, it has to go to an appeal because of the collective bargaining agreement. And so we got into the dynamics of that. But the next stage in this goes to Major League Soccer and what they are going to do. And some of the folks in our Twitch pitch are like, they're not going to do anything because it is Messi and friends. What does your gut tell you?
Look, I see your MLS and Leagues Cup committee or people who are responsible, but I'll race you Inter Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts with them. It should be on them. For Inter Miami, it's easy to wash their hands and say, oh, look, Messi, is the league coming after you? Is the league trying to suspend your buddy and friend and good old pal, Luis Suarez, for what he did? Nobody wants to disturb Lionel Messi. So Inter Miami is going to just kind of wash their hands of the whole thing and just allow them to do it. But as the direct club that has that player representing that badge, should they not be the ones that internally discipline everyone that had some additional unnecessary or vile, repugnant actions? Because I think that's where it should start. It should be Inter Miami. They should have already had a statement out. They should have already addressed the situation. They should have already talked to Luis Suarez and said, look, internally, we're suspending you for X amount of games.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how we go hard on a guy like Nuhu for throwing a ball on the stands, but we don't go hard on something that is as vile as what we saw after that game. So to me, there will be suspensions. There will be at least 6 games. That is where I set the bar for Luis Suarez because of what he did, because he went after an elderly staff member that's trying to get away from him, that he steps with his cleat on his shoe to not allow him to get away from him. You see the staff member trying to look away, trying to get away, and then you spit in his face. That is beyond deplorable. And Luis Suarez is a tiny man and maybe a great soccer player, but an incomplete human being, and he should be made an example of. And I hope that is Inter Miami, and I hope it is MLS, and I think it will be MLS that ultimately upholds those suspensions to all the players that you talked about, Falcone and Aviles, who had no reason to be there. throwing punches, and Cello trying to sucker punch people from the back, and you're having Freddie Juarez trying to grab you, and Stephen Fry trying to stop you so you don't go hit somebody. So those aggressors to me are the ones that should have the highest penalties, because they're trying to protect themselves and get away from their players. Jackson Reagan and Jay Bell get disciplinary actions, then that's fine as well, as long as those others are more stringent and they show the severity of what they did.
News from our buddy Mike Gramajo down in Orlando yesterday that Orlando City, the purple team, filed on Friday a formal complaint to Leagues Cup organizers regarding the officiating of the semifinal match against Messi and friends. Purple team loses 3-1. Controversial refereeing, and this is Mike's copy from West TV. Refereeing that went both ways eventually saw Orlando reduced to 10 when David Brecalo was sent off on a PK call. Orlando City defender and captain Robin Janssen also shown a straight red following the final whistle when Janssen allegedly verbally insulted match officials, according to Leagues Cup Disco. Janssen's red card appealed by the team, not successful, and obviously waiting for comment from Leagues Cup. When asked if the team had received a response from tournament organizers, club spokesperson told West TV the complaint was acknowledged. So there you go. So not the end for the Disco on the Disco committee for Leagues Cup. They now have Orlando City filing a formal complaint to organizers regarding the officials in that matchup in the semifinal too. So we got to keep an eye on that as well.
I think that's important. I think that more of these are going to come. I think that Inter Miami has now done a great job at just becoming this villain, and what at one point was acceptable, which should have never been acceptable, but you kind of knew that the league was going to protect the goose that laid the golden eggs in Lionel Messi, but now it's become so in your face, right? It's become so obvious that, yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, look, that game between Orlando and Inter Miami is decided by ultimately not giving Angulo that penalty kick in the 18. That's a clear PK. It's a clear PK to me. I mean, there's literally no question. And then everything else that happens afterwards, including the red card off of the PK that is awarded for Orlando City, right? So against Orlando City. So all those things to me are obvious. And look, I've talked to some GMs and other front office members from different clubs, and they've all said, look, if it was my guy that did that, there'd be some internal disciplinary actions. And I really hope that puts some sort of pressure on Inter Miami to do so as well, regardless of who it is.
4 matches this weekend in Major League Soccer, and it's because you can opt out. You can sit there and say, no, we're playing. And so you have four matchups. Fire and Revs, Dynamo and LAG, all caps in FC Dallas. All the home teams are favorites there. Fire a -139, Dynamo's a -127, all caps are a -102. It's changing in front of me literally as we're talking. And then Sunday Night Soccer, Sporting hosting Austin, Sporting favorite at a +143. Are you taking the weekend off, or are you going to be watching those?
I mean, I was hoping to watch some games, but these are some sleepers, I mean, these are some, good thing it's at 5:30 Pacific. I mean, any earlier, and it might be nap time for me, for sure. But I mean, I guess the LA Galaxy Houston game would be interesting, just because the LA Galaxy have kind of resurrected a little bit of their soccer. You saw Painter have a great goal in the last weekend. You saw Peck get more involved. Marcus Reus, I feel like he's also coming along. So that one might be interesting. Houston, man, is a team that I was just on ESPN Houston with Glenn, and it's crazy how much they are in dire need for something to change in Houston, right? They have these crowds that are not going. They have this team that's in disarray. So that one I'll be fine to watch. I think the LA Galaxy are heavy favorites here on my end. What's the goal composure on that one? The goal compose.
All right. So Houston and LAG. It is, let's see, as we sit here and look at over-unders, 2.5 a minus 163, 3.5 a plus 149. So it flips at 3 or it's a plus 102.
Yeah, I don't mind the 3.5 at all. I think this might be a game with some goals. I mean, it was 3-2 between them and St. Louis. I would think that it's gonna be a little bit along those lines. So I do like the 3.5. I do like the LA Galaxy. The Chicago New England's interesting. New England has started to move in the right direction. Obviously, this is a FIFA break, so there are going to be some missing players from some of these teams, but yeah, I think Chicago's another good one there. And the Sporting Kansas City Austin, I like Austin on that game for sure. I really like what I saw from them last weekend. I know it's San Jose. I get it. I mean, they are very vulnerable, to say the least, when it comes to defensive abilities, but I do like what they're starting to do on their own, right? I think Bukhari is getting some traction. He's becoming that guy that they purchase, right? The guy that is going to stretch out defenses, the guy that's going to be a magnet on that end. And Uzuni as well. I feel like he's really coming over for this team. So yeah, I like Austin on that one. Sporting Kansas City continues to have issues of their own, regardless of coming from a win. But I like Austin in that one.
All right, what's going on, Sounder at Hart and Pulso Sports? What do folks need to know?
Absolutely, Lou. We have a ton of content from Leagues Cup still on Pulso Sports. You want to look at some of the recap of that, the brawl. You want to look at some of the fantastic interviews we had afterwards. Do you want to hear Osase call in Miami some sore losers? Do you want to listen to what happened in that moment where Christian Roldan looks like he's going to take that PK and he's holding the ball, and then Alex Roldan goes and takes it? I thought it was awesome that Alex said, look, that was part of the game plan. Why did we do it? Because everybody was going to come at Christian. He was going to take the heat. Everybody's trying to get in his mind. And then all of a sudden I get behind him and take the PK. I thought it was brilliant from the brothers there. So you could hear that, of course. You could hear from Macherano. You could hear from Brian Smetzer. The guys have 5 days off, so they won't be back at Providence Swedish Clubhouse and Toy Store for quite some time. But at the same time, we will have some more content from us. You're obviously going to get this show at some point there. On Friday, we'll have Jeremiah and I, what we learned this week. And then, of course, on Monday, kickoff with Ari Lillenwall.
As always, my friend, great to see you on Thursdays. Have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. We'll catch up with you next week. Always great to catch up with you, as we always do for Thursdays.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy the NFL weekend. Hope your fantasy teams and other things that you do with football come across along the lines of this audience as well. Thanks, everybody, for all the love, all the support. Love being on the show, and we'll see you next week.
You got it. There he goes. I'm going to fix my fantasy team because they stink, and so we're average. Tomorrow, it is once again catching up with our friends from Major League Soccer. Hopefully, our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can drop by. We'll find out what's going on there. And we'll get you ready for the weekend across the board. It's USMNT. We got a couple of friendlies. We got stuff. Reminder, Dan Orlowitz is going to join us on Monday to discuss USA and Japan. We'll have that one for you as well. So for everybody here, to all of you, thanks for dropping by. Thanks to, Bart's joined us, Derek's in, David, and all the things. And yes, Derek is right on. The pink team could have used muscle discomfort as an excuse for both Messi and Alba in the All-Star game. They could have, but they didn't. And then you have the furor that is attached. So back at it again for another Friday, and we'll see if we can still catch up with Scott Wells. Hopefully he's catching up on his sleep after the big win for Gardner-Webb last night. For all of us here, mucho platial plate, say, since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Back at it again, a little less than 22. See you on a Friday, everybody. It was one of those days. You end up making sure that you hit the